This is a summary of my analysis of the trail data quality for the trails managed by the Dillon Ranger District of the U.S. Forest Service. This Ranger District is in Colorado. I've highlighted it in green here, appropriate for the Forest Service. It is west of Denver, kind of straddles I-70. It includes the towns of Dillon, of course, Silverthorne, Frisco, Breckenridge, and Keystone. So in summary, there was about 397 trails in the database, and I downloaded that from the Forest Service website on October 1st of 2023, so just a few weeks ago. 397 trails were not winter only, and about 200 of them, in other words 50%, had significant errors, and those errors include things like null geometry, the 3 cases of that, roads that were actually mapped as trails, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, and then simply trails that either don't exist or are more than 15 meters away from their likely true location. So I have a few examples, so let's get started. All right, this is the Willow Lake Trail, and you can see that OpenStreetMap has a different depiction of it, and that distance between the two is about 300 feet. If I turn on the Strava heat map, you can see that everyone's traveling along the route depicted by OpenStreetMap and not the route depicted by the Forest Service. And there you can see the data from the USGS as well. So remember, I talked about sometimes that roads were depicted as trails, and this segment of the Continental Divide National Scenic Trail is an example. If you turn off Strava and put on some imagery, we can see that this is definitely a road. There's actually, you can see some cars along it. So while I understand that this would aid someone who is hiking the Continental Divide Trail for routing purposes, roads are not trails. And if you start counting roads as trails, you're going to skew your statistics as to how many miles of trails there are. And if you're trying to do an analysis of how different populations are served by the trail system, you could come up with the wrong answer. Sidewinder Road, no Strava heat, no evidence in the imagery of a road being here. Harrigan Creek, you can see a discrepancy here, 344 feet. I'm not sure how to say this. Toopech, Too-Pwech. No evidence of a trail there, but let's just look at the OpenStreetMap. It does show the Toopech Trail to the east and having a very different configuration. Now, if we measure the distance between the intersection between the Toopech Trail as depicted by the Forest Service with the Upper Salt Lick Trail and the Toopech Trail as depicted by OpenStreetMap with the Upper Salt Lick Trail, that distance is about 1,500 plus feet. This is the Middle Barton Trail. And the Strava heat for that. You can see no one's traveling on that section of trail. So what's confusing about this is this really the Middle Barton Trail? Or is that the Middle Barton Trail? Or does the Middle Barton Trail really not exist at all, and this is a trail that has a different name and a different number altogether? And that's what's so confusing about this data is so different than reality that it's difficult to match up which trail they're actually referring to. This is the Hunter Lode Road. Say that 3 times fast. Hunter Lode Road. And that discrepancy is almost 1,200 feet. All right, the Valdero Trail. Now, this is another case where part of the trail is actually a road. In this case, it's a residential road, County Road 531. And if we put on some imagery from Bing, we see, it's a residential road. We got people's houses along here. There's not even a sidewalk. There's definitely not a parallel trail here. And there's no reason to do this for routing, unlike the Continental Divide Trail. This is the Anabi Trail. And that discrepancy is about 168 feet. And USGS has the same depiction. Wilder Gulch Trail. So the issue here is the trail, is clearly in the image you can see the trail goes under the highway. There's a bridge here. You can see the trail in the image. And so it's not where, the trail is not actually where the Forest Service depicts it. And the USGS has almost the same depiction. All right, this is the Monkey Butt Trail. And unfortunately, it does not appear to exist. According to OpenStreetMap, there's a nearby trail called the Tenderfoot Upper Trail, and another one, nearby trail called the Lower Tenderfoot Mountain Road. So, again, it's not clear if the Monkey Butt Trail really doesn't exist at all, or if it's one of these other trails here, and OpenStreetMap has the name wrong. And the USGS has the same alignment as the Forest Service. This is the Ptarmigan Peak Trail. And you see there's a discrepancy here of 330 feet. Again, I'll put on the USGS, and it has about the same, not exactly, but about the same alignment. This is the Roost Trail, and this is another case where it's really hard to tell what they're talking about. I mean, there's a lot of other trails in the area, but none that really have this configuration. So it's not just it's shifted by a few meters. So it very well could be that this trail in OpenStreetMap is the Roost Trail. Without a ground survey, we don't know. But what we do know is there is no trail that follows the alignment as depicted by the Forest Service. So it is an error. The Ormes, O-R-M-E-S Trail, Ormes. That's 262 feet discrepancy there. This is the Wide Open Trail. Again, very different alignment from reality. We do have a clue of what might have happened, though, because OpenStreetMap has a new wide open trail kind of in the same area. So it very well could be that the wide open trail did exist at one time as depicted by the Forest Service, but we know that that has been at least 12 months because the Strava heat map covers 12 months and there's no heat on it. All right, this is the Acorn Trail. As you can see down here to the south is the depiction by OpenStreetMap. There's Strava, which aligns with the OpenStreetMap depiction. And it then intersects the Ute Peak Trail. Now, the discrepancy between the intersection as depicted by the Forest Service and the intersection as depicted by OpenStreetMap and Strava is, well, it's 4,700 feet. Officers Gulch Trail. This is another case where a road is depicted as a trail. This is just the parking lot for the trailhead. And it's not a trail. Here's a different imagery source. So we actually see, and people are parked there. As I told you, is a parking lot. It's it's just the access road. It's not a trail. Farncombe Hill. You can see that OpenStreetMap depicts this section to the northeast. They call it Little French Flume. So I'm not sure what the name actually is, but this section of the southwest does not exist. So there's no one traveling on it according to Strava. And USGS has the same thing. This is the Governor King Trail. Again, very different alignment than reality. And USGS has almost the same depiction. All right, Buffalo Mountain. That discrepancy is 1,500 feet, more or less. And the USGS has the same thing as the Forest Service. This is the Bemrose Trail, and that discrepancy is 400 feet. I'll just put on Strava to prove to you that that's where everyone's traveling. And the USGS has the same data as the Forest Service. So in summary, again, there is a 50% error rate. And we have errors. There's null geometry, which obviously very difficult to show. There is no geometry, so I can't show it on the map. We have roads depicted as trails. And I've shown you a few examples of that, and then either trails that don't exist or that are mislocated from their true location by 15 meters or more. So there, and many of these are hundreds and hundreds of feet. We saw something 4,700 feet in error.